Do you want God, or do you want the whole world? Today's focus, the Levites had the Lord as their inheritance. Fine Foods, 7 minutes a day, 1 Bible a year. Grace and peace, everyone. Today, our reading brings us to Numbers, chapters 17 through 20. Our key verse is, "Instead, I give to the Levites as their inheritance the tithes that the Israelites present as an offering to the Lord. That is why I said concerning them, they will have no inheritance among the Israelites." Numbers 18. The Levites were set apart to serve as priests and in the work of the tabernacle. They will have no inheritance means they had no land for herding livestock, planting crops, and so on. And this offering presented to the Lord, the act of lifting it up, signified dedicating it to God. The Israelites gave a tenth as an offering to the Lord. These were not for the Lord's own need. God is the self-existent, eternal God. He gave these to the Levites as their provision, because the Lord himself was the Levites' inheritance. Today's subheading asks, do you want God or do you want the whole world? Some might joke and say, wouldn't it be nice to have both? This world was created by God. God often has the test. Do you want me or the blessings I give? The point they often struggle with is that they want to enter Canaan, but are afraid of the giants of Canaan. They want to go back to Egypt, but fear the slavery under Pharaoh. This is what we mentioned earlier about the 10 spies and the 2 spies. So, continuing from earlier, God used the fact that the Levites had no inheritance to let people experience having God as their own inheritance. This is not only about the Levites, it is about you and me as well. The book of Numbers is about a generation wandering and the rise of the next. Today's reading brings us to chapters 17 through 20, Death in the Wilderness. Death in the wilderness does not mean they were struck down by God at once. It means they did not enter Canaan, but wandered and died in the wilderness. So the first generation died in the wilderness. As time went on, 38 years had passed since the incident of the 10 spies. Let's look at the scripture, the inheritance of the Levites, the offerings of the Israelites. It is the Levites who are to do the work at the tent of meeting and bear the responsibility for any offenses they commit against it. This is a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. They will receive no inheritance among the Israelites. Instead, I give to the Levites as their inheritance the tithes that the Israelites present as an offering to the Lord. That is why I said concerning them, they will have no inheritance among the Israelites. Numbers 18, because they were to carry out the service of the tabernacle, not only sacrifices but also setting up, taking down, and moving the tabernacle. Levite men began their apprenticeship at age 25 and started their formal service at age 30. So their livelihood came from the tithe of the produce of the Israelites, whether livestock, grain, and so on. For the congregation, they gave to God. For the Levites, they received grace from God. In today's terms, this refers to full-time ministers, pastors, co-workers, and so on, because God is their inheritance. And the brothers and sisters in the congregation give a tithe to support them as a salary to provide for their families. We must have a right understanding. Our giving is directed to God. We must not have the attitude, your salary comes from me. This mindset is wrong. We all give to God, and we all receive grace from God. So, full-time ministers and co-workers are today's Levites. We can receive the gospel without paying, but we must be aware that spreading the gospel and shepherding the church does involve financial cost. And the tithes we give is from the produce of the land. The land was created by God. Whether planting crops, herding livestock, or our present-day jobs and businesses, because the land represents the world, we give a tenth of what we gain from the world. Tithing 10% was a mandatory requirement in the Old Testament. In the time of the New Testament, it is about giving cheerfully and willingly. It may be 15%, or it may be 5%. It depends on each person's cheerful and willing offering. I've done a rough calculation. The salary I receive as a full-time minister is the same as what I earned 25 years ago in the tech industry. But does that make me unhappy? On the contrary, I feel immense joy because this is what I want to do, and it carries a heavenly calling. If you ask me if I have any regrets, I will say yes, I have regrets. But I haven't finished. My regret is, why didn't I commit myself sooner to serve as a full-time minister? God is my only inheritance. By faith, there is abundant provision in every way. I hope to have the chance to share more of my story with everyone. Returning here, so full-time ministers and co-workers are the Levites. The tithe from the congregation's produce supports the ministers, the meeting place rent, fellowship meal expenses, and various activity costs. This is an offering to God. It is presented to the Lord. In fact, you and I are all Levitical priests. In the past, sacrifices had to be offered through a priest. Now everyone can come before God's throne through Jesus Christ, and everyone can offer a living sacrifice because we are a priesthood of all believers. And when we give to God, we also supply one another with the produce of the land. This mutual provision is an offering to God, and this pleases Him. Reading Guide to Numbers. The book of Numbers is about a generation wandering and the rise of the next set in the Mosaic age. Chapter 17. The budding of Aaron's staff. The leaders of the 12 tribes each brought their staff, but only Aaron sprouted. This showed that Aaron was chosen by God to be high priest, and this sprouted staff was placed inside the Ark of the Covenant. Chapter 18. Duties of priests and Levites. The Levites had the Lord as their inheritance. Chapter 19. The red heifer. This was used at the dedication of the tabernacle. As a side note, Israel has now found the red heifer, and we are now in the last days, in which the third temple will surely be rebuilt. We will wait and see. The main point is to look forward to the coming of Jesus Christ, to preach the gospel diligently in the last days, and to bear a good witness. Chapter 20. Striking the rock twice at Meribah. Moses had regret that he himself could not enter the land of Canaan. Today's focus, the Levites had the Lord as their inheritance. In fact, you and I are all Levitical priests. The Lord is my inheritance. Out of love for God and love for people, we give the produce of the land. This is our offering to God. Blessed is the one whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. Fine food 7 minutes. See you tomorrow.